Adheenam, this is Chikambara, the Smiling Sannyasi. So today I wanted to make a video sharing about why I've chosen to live in an Adheenam, or why I've chosen to live a life which is away from the status quo. And when I was thinking about all of the different reasons, there was all of a sudden so much that I felt I wanted to say. So I might not have time, I don't want to make this a very long video, so I might not have time to speak about all of the components, but I might touch on a few things that are there in my inner space that I feel that I should share. So I was brought up and raised in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm from Croatia. That's my background, so that's where I was born, and that's where my parents were living, and then they decided they would migrate to Australia for their own personal reasons. And so growing up, there was a lot of emphasis on schooling, that being a very important component in my growing up, my education, and especially in teenage years, on getting good grades in school and then graduating, doing the normal, or what they considered normal or admirable, going to university, finishing a degree, and then getting a good paying job, and just the usual run-of-the-mill, what most people, I think, tend to want for their kids. So nothing wrong with that. But for myself, I always felt I loved learning, but the schooling and the pressure to identify with one, field that you're going to learn about and then get a profession in, I always felt somewhat suffocating. And I understand now why that is. And anyhow, I finished my schooling and ended up going to university, which I didn't complete. But there was definitely a sense of, pressure to please my parents, pressure to perform well and get these good grades. And it was a very stressful time. And I even remember after that was, long gone and I started working, even the whole structure of a work environment and the pressures of same things having to perform, and the whole concept of earning money, the whole concept of getting a loan out, and that would be my reality, is having to get out a loan and then buy a place to live and pay that off for many, many years, the same way I had watched my parents do. I always question, why do we have to live like that? Why is this the structure of society? So somehow I never felt that it was ideal, even the many things I questioned, including, why we eat meat, why do we slaughter animals, and why is everyone so okay with consuming meat in such a way? And it's not even just the word meat is, it's like you're consuming the carcass of that what was once a living, breathing, it's a beautiful sentient life, and you're consuming that. Many of these things that were just kind of imposed on me, I never understood why. Why is it like that? So after finding my guru, Paramahamsa Sri Nityananda, and understanding that there's a different way of living, actually, that's more sensitive and more caring towards ourselves and those around us, it clicked with me that, wow, this is more in tune what I always naturally felt, including the Gurukul education system, which is more based off of understanding our real place in the universe, there being a balance of powerful cognitions being cultivated in children from a young age, and the right understandings about themselves and nature, everything around them. And obviously the manifesting Shaktis component, which is definitely the breakthrough for humanity. So I was so happy knowing that this exists, and I was so happy understanding that, wow, the Vedic civilization was really in tune with what I perceive as the highest way we could be living. You know, this was an enlightened civilization. And there's so much that Swamiji has spoken about, you know, about the corruption of society, and how we're really just kind of wrung into this rat race. We're not really living. We're kind of going through life just waiting to die, you know, bogged down with so many things, so many responsibilities that have come from not decisions we've necessarily made, but it's just the flow of society. It's been imposed on us. So for me, this life is the ultimate life of freedom. So many people feel that there's so many choices out there in comparison to the life that we live here, in the sense that, you know, we have our food which is taken care of for us, so it's purely organic, it's sattvic. People that come here for short stays, they start craving for chocolate and cake and bread and, you know, things that aren't necessarily incorporated here in our diet, although yes, we do have beautiful sweets and we do have a variety of food, but it maybe isn't in line with what they necessarily desire. So that opinion that choices equate to freedom, but I can say now with the maturity of my understanding, that's not the case. And I feel blessed to be able to be part of this, and I know that it will catch on more and more as more and more people awaken to the fact that there's a dysfunction in society that it's time to unplug from and start moving towards something consciously which works. So the doors are open now for Bengaluru Adheenam for those that wish to become Adhinavasis themselves, like I am, and step away from the status quo kind of a life. Or even those that wish to volunteer. There's so many programs that are available that you can come and be part of and see what goes on here. So everyone is welcome. I know Swamiji said not to take these opportunities for granted because they might not necessarily be here indefinitely. So while the doors are open, take up the opportunity and see what we're all talking about. So I'll definitely make more videos about this. And if you have any questions and comments, please feel free to comment beneath. So until next time, thank you and Nityanandam.